So in our last episode, we talked about maturity. And at this point of our lives, we feel like we're pretty much mature ready. But let's be honest about it. No matter how mature we get or how much experience we get and prepare for new scenarios, there's one thing that constantly happens in our life. And we all hate it. Those are the embarrassing moments, the failure moments. Maybe after some time had passed, we can laugh about it or cringe at it in the middle of the night. But definitely a part of growing up. And what's more, embarrassments last a moment and regrets last a lifetime. So I guess better be embarrassed from trying than regretting not doing anything, right? So keeping that quote in mind, we're back with a new episode titled Such a Big F, where we'll be going over several Reddit's epic fail stories and sharing some of our own embarrassing moments along the way. So let's dive in.
I guess just jumping into it, I'll first start off with the Reddit story that we actually found online, and we found it very funny. It says, I was sitting on a bus chatting with a coworker when I spotted a pair of gloves on the floor next to a woman who just got off her seat and was getting off at the next stop. What's this? This poor woman has dropped her gloves. I shall fetch them for her quickly before she leaves the bus. I shall become the hero of the day, and all will admire me for being such a nice person. I promptly jumped up and get the gloves from the floor and asked if she dropped them while handing them to her as the bus rolls to the stop and the doors open. She looked a bit surprised and says, "Oh, right, thank you," takes the gloves and steps out the bus. As I turn around to return to my seat, I see another lady going through her belongings, looking for something. She looks at me and says she has misplaced her gloves. Then she asks if the pair I just gave away was a black leather. Holy eight cakes! I just forced an innocent bystander to steal this lady's gloves. The humiliation of my deed crushed me into tiny atom particles, and I haven't been materialized since. So, yeah.
I love the last. The humiliation of my deed crushed me into tiny atom particles. I feel that completely.
I get the part where the person was like, I shall become the hero of the day and all will admire me. Because, you know, as life goes on, you're like, this good deed will make me a better person, make me a hero.
Now, I never had a good deed turn into a humiliation situation before, but I did have a very humiliating experience when I was 5 years old. I don't think it's a humiliating experience for me. It's more of a humiliating experience for the other person. So, okay, here it goes. When I was 5 years old, I had my first swimming lesson and it was at a summer camp. And I was with all the other 4, 5, and 6-year-olds. After doing some technique in the 3 feet water area, the teacher was like, okay, guys, I think you guys are good enough. Let's move all of you guys to the 5 feet area. Now, none of us are 5 feet tall. You know, at this point in life, when you're little, we're probably like around 4 feet. So being in a 5 feet water area could drown you if you don't know how to swim. To be honest, I feel like all the other kids except for me were ready. But because, you know, I didn't want to be an outlier, I wanted to fit in with the cool kids. I was like, okay, yeah, I'm ready too. So we to the 5 feet area. All the kids took turns to jump in the pool and then started like swimming towards the teacher, and everybody did it perfectly. Now it came my turn. So instead of jumping in the pool because I was really scared, I just walked down and I started doggy paddling to the teacher because that was the one technique that I was confident in. So I won't drown myself. I'm doggy paddling towards the teacher because you have to touch him and then you have to turn around and go back to your starting point. Mm-hmm. So I'm like going, you know, I'm going. And I actually managed to touch the teacher in the first time, but I have to go back. Now the teacher also follows you when you go back because just in case anything happens. So he's in front of me, right? Start to feel my body getting really heavy. Like it was really hard to breathe. Basically, I was getting tired. And I knew I had to make it. Because I don't want to embarrass myself in front of all these kids. So I was like, okay, let's just push it. Let's push it till the end. I'm almost there. I did it, but towards the last inch, right? Because it took only an inch. Like if I just swam a little more, I could grab something and I could get hold of myself. But for some reason, my body couldn't handle the inch. Like I just need to swim one more inch, legit. grabbed the closest thing I could before I started drowning. And that was the teacher's pee-pee area. I don't know how to say it. The pee-pee area, or what should I say? Genital area? Teacher's pee-pee area. Now, at the moment, I wasn't like understanding. All I know was I had to survive. In order to survive, I had to grab something, right? And pull myself up from what I was grabbing. So imagine like yanking on somebody's pee-pee area. So hard to pull myself up. And all I heard was the teacher be like, like a scream or something, and then he quickly like lifted me up. He quickly got hold of me, so I was drowning. But yeah, probably very humiliating for him. That was the story.
Right. Okay, so moving on to our next Reddit story. Thoughts like this. We had a university ruling that if the professor didn't arrive after 15 minutes from the time the bell rang, we can leave class. We enter the classroom and there's a blackboard note of the name and the professor, the class code, and the class schedule. The professor was nowhere to be found. The professor had a funny last name, so my classmates who arrived earlier made fun of the professor's name. Upon entering the class, there's a handsome, buff guy scribbling notes at the back row. I am not a shy person, so I sat next to him and introduced myself. He said his name was Dan. I asked him about his major, his schedule, anything to get to know him and to kill time. When I ran out of questions, I ranted that the professor was a bloke and joined the rest making fun of the professor's name. Dan laughed with us and even initiated more jokes about the professor. At the 15th minute, everyone was looking at their watches and doing their countdown. At the last 20 seconds, Dan stood up from his chair, walked towards the blackboard and said, "Okay, class." We then found out that it's always been his habit of pretending to be one of the students as an icebreaker. What an icebreaker.
Oh my God.
You know, to be honest, when I first read this story, I thought it was pretty smart.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
it's embarrassing for this person though. Because it's like, oh, the professor is so bad. And then like, the professor right there in front of you this whole time. Poor student.
What would you guys have done in that situation? Like if you guys were the one that's sitting next to the professor pretending to be another student?
Well, it's your own fault for pretending to be a student. Like everybody's been a student before, right? We all know, we've all joked about professor. I guess it was not fair that they haven't even met the professor. They just like judged him based on his last name.
After class, I would have been like, "Hey, just to let you know, whatever I said, it was just for jokes. See ya."
Wouldn't that make him walk? But
I probably would say something because I was talking to him for like, a good 15 minutes, right? So I'd be like, "Hey, just want to let you know, so funny. And yeah, we both don't mean anything, right? Okay, cool. Can't wait to see you in the next class. Bye."
I'd be like cringing after I leave a class. I'd be like, "Oh my God, like what the heck have I done?"
I actually might joke and be like, "So, professor, thank you for 14 minutes with me, listening to my nonsense questions and answering them. Bye." And then just pretend nothing happened. Wow.
Yeah, I have another one. So this person's story goes, I was at the coffee shop waiting for my coffee when I ate the largest muffin sample on a plate. Now, it wasn't until I start one more tasty sample that I realized it wasn't just free samples, but someone else's dirty plate, and they returned it to the counter. I left without my coffee in horror.
Oh my God.
What a cute, not unaware of the situation.
Oh my God. Imagine that. Like free samples. And then you realize it was actually something that somebody else had ate before. No wonder she ran out without her coffee.
The plate must have been like plated very pretty.
It was America. I would knew right away it's not a clean plate. Maybe that person just like want a muffin.
Free samples. Well, the fact that she was not aware, kind of remind me of a situation where I've been in. It's actually very embarrassing. But like at the time, I was not aware at all. Okay.
Go ahead.
Please no, do not blame me. I literally, if I could have like just left that situation that I was in, that would have been great. But no, I couldn't. I was stuck there because the story I'm about to share is it happened during camp. So we had camp at Durban, and it was like one of the most funnest camp that I had because we could do surfing, we could do fishing. There was just so many variety of activities, and one of the activity that I chose was fishing. It sounded interesting, so attended that session, and our camp supervisor, he was also teaching us how to fish that day. Now, this dude, I actually only met him that day. Hello, you're my leader. And then next thing I know, we start this lesson. I mean, we barely had any conversation. Now, why I emphasize this is because what's happening next, it's, oh my God. Be embarrassed about this. Okay. So he started teaching us, the movement where you swing out the fishing line out into the lake. Now, be aware, I used to play softball, which is like baseball. So I just naturally did the baseball move, which is actually more of a horizontal swing than the kind of fishing line swing that you would do. It's a bit more like round, like circular kind of movement. But I wasn't aware. I thought I was doing it right. And so when it was my turn, I swung out. My eyes were out there in the lake, expecting to see the line there. I'm like, whoa, like I couldn't see it. And I thought I actually swung really far because my stick was like in front. And it seems like I think I got something, it was like a sound, like it's been pulled. Like I thought I did it perfectly. And then to the left of me, my classmates started laughing and I had no idea what was going on. I was like, oh, does it mean like my first try was so good? And then I heard a sound as well to the right of me. I was like, why is there an sound? And I turned to the right, and what do I see? I see my instructor with a very shocked face. I don't know how to stand, but he was standing there, a shocked face where suddenly his whole body just went stiff. And next thing I knew was the hook, the fishing line hook. It kind of hooked his left butt cheek. Yes, I hooked his butt cheek. And he was like very, like, he did not respond. He did a bit of a clearing throat and then he unhooked the hook and then stood far away. I mean, that's really respectful. I'm glad, but I couldn't swing again. And until this day, fishing gives me like trauma.
PTSD.
Because of this. I feel like I will hurt people. Really wanted to get away from that situation. It was so embarrassing.
Now, did your classmates make fun of you for the rest of the year because of this situation, or?
Oh, well, the good thing was like they were just giggling and, we all remember and then just moved on to the next activity. At least didn't mention it again. But that memory has stuck to me until this day. And whenever I see a fishing hook, it reminds me of that accident.
Speaking of PTSD moments, I'm pretty sure this guy or this priest got a PTSD from this event. And it goes like this. I never laughed so hard at a funeral. Obviously, it was a very somber moment, and they were taking the body out of the church, and the priest is waving the incense urn, and it's smoking like mad, and he passes a mourner who was enveloped in this cloud, and he sneezed. Well, when he sneezed, he farted at the same time. And as far as I can tell, it was the forward wing as the sneeze released that must have angled his butt just right, and the fart reverberated along the pew. And it sounded like a bass trumpet, if there's such a thing. Or better yet, a tuba. How did the church erupted in a laughter? And the poor guy was mortified. The priest did a face palm and motioned to the choir, and they started a hymn. It was talk of the luncheon afterwards. I don't think the mortar came to the luncheon. Oh my God. I love how it says, last two sentences, the priest did a face palm, motioned to the choir, and they started a hymn. This is like, I just farted a tuba fart. And then just please start a hymn. Please start singing after my fart. You know how like racers start racing and they're like 1, 2, 3 race, and they shoot like a gun sound. It's like this part was like 1, 2, 3, let's start singing for the death. This is so funny.
Talking about the hymn. So the thing is, I could relate to that story because I was in church and it was in Abu Dhabi. It's been a while since everyone was together. So it was the 5 of us all in church. And in this Korean church, we sing the hymn in the beginning of the whole service. And the hymn wasn't like a clapped, like a very upbeat hymn. It was very like, I'm sorry for my sin, talking to God and be like, today I'm here because of you, etc. It was like the lyrics were very emotional and deep, right? So I stood up and you were supposed to sing, right? But like I hadn't like talked in a while, so my voice was very muted and I guess my throat wasn't ready for the high note or something because I stood up and I sang the first note. It was pretty high. And my voice cracked. Gladly, okay, no one could hear it except for my mom who was standing next to me and like 2 of my brothers. So my brothers chuckled and they were like, okay, playing it off. And I was like, okay, yeah, good. Yeah, it's not a big deal. But then I turned to my mom and she's like bawling her eyes out and she's like crying in tears. Since no one heard my crack, I feel like everyone thought that she was like having this moment with God. And like she's an elder, right? So she, as soon as she ran out, like people are like, oh my god, she probably, you know, got a calling, or like she's so emotional from the high.
Oh my god.
And like here I am, and like looking back, like,
Oh my god.
sorry. My voice cracked was the inspiration of her connection with God.
There was no connection though.
Feel the struggle your mom went through, because the same thing happened. Like, I think it's always like these serious situation, like scenarios. Where
Yeah.
it's like, I don't know about you, but for me, it's so hard. The minute I start finding something funny, oh my god, I can't stop. I'm just like your mom. There was one time that was a very serious situation. So what happened? It was a musical recital, you know, in high school. It's a very serious situation, and like you get marked for it. And then what the situation is like is our class, everybody would do a solo performance, and then the rest of us would be like the audience, and we assess them and just listen, you know. So it's like a very, very serious situation when you're marked. And then this dude went up, he plays a trombone, and I don't know for what reason he had to he had to choose Beauty and the Beast. It's such a classic song, and I was expecting this beautiful trombone, you know, tune being played, because it's solo performance, you know. Usually you would prepare a while, but I don't know if he was aware, but when he blew it, it sounded like a fart sound. It was so bad. And I tried my best to be respectful, but oh my God, I couldn't stop laughing. And I kept like trying to make it like a coughing fit or something. And like at the end of the performance, it was so bad. Like I feel like they must have could tell I was laughing or something, but I didn't know. At the end of the performance, people are coming like, Cindy, are you all right? Are you super sick? Like,
Nope.
I felt so bad about it, but it was just, I couldn't stop laughing, and I was trying to hide it with a coughing fit, but I couldn't get out of that situation. Like if I was your mom, oh, that'd be great if I could just walk out of it, but I couldn't. I was stuck in the room. So it's like that whole 5 minute of his performance, I had like a huge coughing fit.
I just want to comment that your coughing fit, it sounds really good. To me, it
Really?
sounds really good. Yeah. It seems to me like you really like coughing.
I really tried. Like my mind was not even listening to him, and I had to assess him afterwards. It was so bad.
Okay, it seems like a very like everyday kind of casual moment, and this is very random, but this is the only way that I can think of my random forgetfulness scenario. But has anybody had these moments where you just do something so stupid and you just feel like, why am I so stupid moments?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them has to relate to forgetful moments. And I had one of those where I had to go get my COVID test below my building, and legit, I put my keys near my front door because I have one of those like long table stands next to the door. I put them in front of the door because I can remember to take them with me. And I just put on my shoes and then went out, and I locked myself out of my door.
Oh my God.
So that was one of those moments where I'm like, oh, Angela, why? You legit put the keys in front of the door so you can remember to take them, and yet you put on your shoes and forgot to take them. So big F moment right there. It was more of FML moment, okay? It was a FML.
I feel like everyone has their forgettable moments, but like the worst is when it's the first day of your company, because it's been COVID. So it's the first time I went to my office, right? So I have a MacBook that my company gave me, and I have another MacBook where it's just my personal stuff. And at that time, I didn't think to differentiate because I thought I'd be smart enough to know which one's which by simply opening the laptop, you know, because the keys are a bit different. But no, I thought I was smart. So I just took the laptop that I was on. I was late, so I had to like hurry out the metro, and I was like sweating because I was so nervous, you know, like being late. And it's the first day of the office, so like you're nervous and you're late, so it's like the worst combination. And then I get to the office, and I'm like panting, and I'm like saying hello to everyone because I don't know anyone, so I'm on my best behavior. And then I like, after finishing, you know, all the greetings and stuff, I sit on my table, take out my laptop, open it, realize that it's my personal laptop that I packed. And then I was like, okay, at that situation, because it was my first day, and everyone I knew, I said hi, was kind of, you know, they knew I was there and I was working. So I acted like I was in a meeting. So I walked out of that office room with my laptop and my keys, no backpack. I was like casually, you know, like acting like I'm going to the meeting room to attend a meeting. And then as soon as I got out of that room, I like ran to the elevator. I was like hitting the button. I was like, come on. Like, and then I basically timed myself because I was like, okay, a meeting's only 30 minutes. So I need to get back in 30 minutes. So I like ran to the elevator, ran down, got on the metro, and then ran to my room. I got there sweating as well. So I was like sweating the whole time. I was like, oh my God, this is not happening. Went to my house, switched the laptop, ran out to my office again. And then as soon as I got off that elevator, like I ran to the bathroom to like dry myself off and just, act like I went to a meeting. And then I casually and very sophisticatedly walked back to the room and sat myself down, opened my company laptop, and then started actually working. So,
Oh my God.
until this day, no one knows about the story.
And the Oscar goes to Han.
Thank you.
Swiftly and efficiently act like she
Oh
did
my-
not forget her laptop.
Man, but I can totally understand. It's because as you mentioned, it's like your first day and you always want to leave like a good impression, first day back to work. And that happened to me too, the other way around, like the first day work from home. I also did something stupid as well. Unfortunately, I have 3 colleagues who knew about it. So this embarrassment situation was not hidden like you. Now, like people constantly remind me, like every time we have to work from home, they keep reminding me about this. So what happened was I forgot my laptop charger. Now you can imagine what that means. Up the whole day of not 8 hours of work, your laptop is not going to survive, especially the kind of work that I do. Didn't notice that I forgot it until like my laptop was like 30%. And that was just before lunch. And then I realized I didn't bring my laptop charger. And I freaked out because, oh no, like it's first work from home day. And I did something stupid like this. And I had to like submit things that day. And so in order to survive the rest of the 5 hours of work, what I did was I had to tell my the people I was gonna give work to, like, hey, can I send you these in email later? Because we usually do a shared folder. I can't access it. If I do that, I have to open up my Wi-Fi. So literally I had to find every single tip, like turn off my Wi-Fi, make my battery like minimum, the save battery option, and then turn my screen like until 10%. Like it was so dark I could barely see, but I had to do that in order to make sure my laptop survived. Turn my Wi-Fi, which also means Teams was off. So it's like literally checking every 1 hour if there's any new messages on Teams. And I had to come back. It was very funny because in the end, it didn't work out. My laptop did die before the end of the day. And my colleagues just saw like a last message from me, like a dying message. And like, my laptop is 10% now. I'm going to say goodbye, but here's the work I finished. Send. I can't talk to you anymore. Like, let's catch up tomorrow. And I had to send this kind of message. And yeah, until this day, those 3 colleagues, they still remember and they remind me every time to bring my laptop charger.
I am so fortunate at my, previous work. I was only 5 minutes away and I forgot a lot of things, a lot of times. And all I had to do was just stand up and then just go and get my things and then go back. In 15 minutes, I'm there.
Unfortunately for me, I was on the other side of the river. So in order to get back to my office, it would be a 40-minute thing. And it'd be very obvious, like if I go back, that I forgot something. But I just love the fact that like now, and to be honest, I wouldn't give a F about this. Right. So whatever. But no, at the time, because we were still quite new on the job, we wanted to leave a good impression. And so we would do things like this, like try and hide our embarrassing, like forgetful thing.
Gotta show your best image, best version of yourself. Well, to be honest, today, recording right now, us 3, we actually had a pretty long day at work and just in our personal lives, like everything going on. So the session was very well needed. And it's just a time to just laugh and chill and kind of escape from reality for a while before we start working tomorrow. So hope you guys, laughed or at least chuckled with us today, making fun of our failures in life and just reading through other people's failures in life. And I feel like something that come out of this is sometimes the best way to heal is just find humor from pain and just deal with it.
Very nice outro, Han. Thank you for ending us off. And thank you guys for tuning in today's episode, Such a Big F. I hope you guys, when listening to all these stories, why this title is validating. And if you haven't, please subscribe, like, and leave a rating for Banana Corn and recommend this to all your family or friends and follow us on Instagram, Banana Corn BD, and come back and join us on our next episode. This is us. Bye.
Bye.